Welcome back, my friends, to another reading from the Science of Mind Daily Guides from Science of Mind magazine. As you heard at the beginning, you may or may not remember, I mentioned his name occasionally, Reverend Josh. Reverend Josh Reeves is the author of this month's writing, or readings, if you like, and he is the co-senior pastor at Mile High Church in Lakewood, Colorado, which is just outside of Denver. I'd like your feedback on these readings. Actually, I'd like your feedback on all the readings, but I'm not all the time, obviously. I don't want to get flooded out, but just occasionally, if you wouldn't mind, just give us a like, yes, but say, no, this is what I found most interesting about that, or no, I don't really agree with that. Just a couple of one or two sentences, just say what you thought of the readings. And that allows me to kind of work my way through them. And also, what you think about my comments. I promise you I won't be offended. If you don't like them, it's okay. If you do like them, fantastic. And if it's somewhere in the middle, well, that's okay too. So just some feedback now and again will be kind of cool. You can text it, you can just post it on our Facebook page, whichever. If you text it, for sure I'll get it a lot quicker. But anyway, there we are. Enough of that. As we get into our weekend, for me, it's 16:46, 4:46 on a Friday afternoon, which is pretty much the weekend. First quote is from someone called Tom Waits, and he's actually an American composer and musician. Yesterday, the quote was from Al-Ghazali, and I had forgotten who he was. He was actually a Persian Sufi mystic, a poet from the 11th century. There was a line of Persian poets, mostly Sufis, those are mystics in Islam, who wrote lots of great stuff. Rumi, I'm sure you've heard of. He was in the century after Al-Ghazali. And then Hafiz, who you may have heard of, some of you have, I know for sure, was in the century after that. So you've got the 11th, 12th, and 13th centuries all in a line there. Lots of great stuff coming out of Persia, or Iran, if you like, at that time. Anyway, back to Tom Waits. He says, I never saw the morning till I stayed up all night. I never saw the sunshine till you turned out the light. I never saw my hometown until I stayed out too long. I never heard the melody until I needed a song. Kind of nice, huh? Holmes, of course, is more down to earth. He can wax lyric at times, but most of the time he's pretty straightforward, down to earth. He says, the radiant presence of love and peace dissipates fear, hate, and confusion. The radiant presence of love and peace dissipates fear, hate, and confusion. And that's from Living the Science of Mind on page 331. And Living the Science of Mind is actually, let me just move that so I can see what I'm doing. It's actually this book. It looks thick, but it really, well, I guess it is a bit thick, but for Holmes it's not. Yeah, it's 400 and whatever pages, 434 pages. But what I like about it is that it's split into small parts. Some of the chapters are like 3-4 pages long. I don't think it's any much longer than 4 or 5 pages. So it's an easier read than the big tome that I showed you the other day, the Science of Mind textbook. Here we go with the reading. The first paragraph repeats itself throughout the reading, so I'm just warning you in advance. This is Reverend Josh Reeves, of course. I experience fear, but I practice love. I experience anger, but I practice love. I experience hurt, but I practice love. He says, as long as you live a full life, you will find negative experiences as part of the journey. The purpose of, in parentheses, spiritual living is not to live a life of comfort and untroubled ease, but rather, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. suggested, to give us the faith necessary to confront the challenges of everyday life. He says, here's the good news. You can be in the troubles of the world, but not of them. You are strong enough to experience your pain, others' pain, and the world's pain, and still transmute it into a conscious and tenacious love. That's how powerful you are. And he repeats, I experience fear, but I practice love. I experience anger, but I practice love. I experience hurt, but I practice love. Then he says, is it really wise to be fearless? Did it enlighten us never to get angry? To never hurt? Is that what it means to be strong? I don't think so. The problem with negative emotions is that we think they exist because of something other than love. When we see that their true meaning is love, we recognize that they become vehicles to get us back to love. I experience fear, but I practice love. I experience anger, but I practice love. I experience hate, but I practice love. He says, love in the face of fear takes strength. Love in response to anger is healing. Love in spite of hurt forgives. No matter what happens to you in your experience today, choose to practice love. And of course, whatever happens to you in the future, he's saying, unsaid, but really meant, choose to practice love. This is something that takes practice. And he uses the word practice in there. 3 times in each time he mentions that statement. I experience fear, but I practice love. I experience anger, but I practice love. I experience hurt, but I practice love. When we do our work every day, and because of my background, I would say when we do our spiritual work every day, we become stronger and much more able to withstand whatever is going on in the world. Remember, we talked about Jesus saying that the house that is built on rock withstands the storm. The house that is built on love withstands the storm of fears, anger, and hurts. So in other words, we can't just, most of us anyway, can't just flick a switch and there we go, we're practicing love in the face of all these things. It takes a lot of hard work to most of us. Some people may be born that way and they can do it easily, but I suspect that they're not. I strongly suspect that even the really strong people on earth actually had to practice and build a foundation to get there. People like Mother Teresa, for instance, people like Gandhi, for instance, people like Nelson Mandela, for instance. I suspect it takes a lot. Take Nelson Mandela, for instance. He spent a long time in jail, really only because he was fighting against a system of oppression that most of us have heard of, know about, and it's gone, called apartheid. And because of the political system and the political environment at the time, where the whites were in control, mainly the Afrikaners were in control, when he and others fought against it, they were thrown in jail. So he spent a long time in jail, angry and whatever other horrible feelings he had towards his jailers. But it finally dawned on him that the only person he was hurting when he was doing this was himself. And he found a way within himself to start forgiving his jailers and those who put him there. And eventually, that changed the way he thought and felt. He had turned his anger and his resentment into love. And the net result was apartheid went away. He worked with the then Prime Minister of South Africa, de Klerk. And between them, they got rid of the apartheid system. And he became the president of South Africa when it had gone. So just one example. I got to say, of all the people in the 20th century, he's probably the one that I look up to most. Lots of other great people, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa. Princess Di, because she looked beyond her royal status and she went down and mingled with the common people, quote unquote. As I said, Gandhi. But a lot of them had their own faults, but they all did something of their spiritual work. They all did their work each day to make themselves stronger in some way, shape, or form. They had a practice that made them stronger. So that's where I take this reading. And of course, guess what the affirmation is going to be? And I changed it a little bit. He started off saying, I experience fear, but I practice love. I'm suggesting you say, I experience fear, I practice love. I experience anger, I practice love. I experience hurt, I practice love. Just leave the but out of it. You don't need to be the but of anything. And I do manage to get a pun in now and again. So, did you like this reading? Do you like this month's readings? Give us a bit of feedback. It will be really cool. Well, is it worth it? I think so. Reverend Willis will be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock reading from the Science of Mind textbook. I will be back tomorrow at 5 o'clock reading some more from the Science of Mind magazine daily guides, Reverend Josh Reeves. And on Sunday, we will be broadcasting from my spiritual center at 11 o'clock. So take care. At least the rain is kind of going away. We're going to get it on and off over the next few days, but the bulk of it is gone. So it's starting to subside. And as I said, if you need help, reach out to us. info@creativelife.org. We will find some way, shape, or form to help you. Till next time, namaste.